Berkeley City Center Radio. It is episode 284, and I am your host, Christian Sanger. Today is Wednesday, August 7th, 2024. Debby has certainly been a downer. The tropical storm has been making its way up the East Coast. We have been feeling the effects as expected. Thankfully, it hasn't been too bad out there. The city of Charleston even said today, as of this recording, who knows if anything will change, but they didn't even have to respond to any kind of water rescues or anything on the peninsula. So people seem to be heeding all warnings and staying home and staying safe. But that doesn't mean there wasn't some scary weather that did come through. I know a lot of people got alerts late at night / early this morning, depending on your perspective, about potential tornadoes. I know I had a tornado watch, as did many people in Charleston County and other places around the state. And it seems like a few may have touched down, but thankfully it seems the ones that did touch down were not very big and did not last very long, but still caused some damage. So far, it seems people in the state have come out unscathed. I haven't heard any reports about deaths or anything like that, so that's a good thing. But we'll go through and update you on everything as of this recording. So this is Wednesday's episode, but as you know, I record the day before, so this is Tuesday. So some of this information could be out of date, could be updated by the time you hear it, but so just keep that in mind. If you're unsure about something or you think you've heard, oh no, I think I heard something different than what Christian's saying, go look at the official, whether it's social media or websites of cities, counties, police, fire departments, whatever else, any source like that is trusted for the most up-to-date information. Of course, I'm sharing stuff on my website and my socials as well, but regardless, be sure to look at official channels just to make sure everything is up to date and exactly what you believe it is to be, because again, much of this could change by the time you hear the podcast. Also, just real quick, been fighting through those audio issues. I guess the last episode had some as well. I tried updating my software. Hopefully that'll do the trick. But if not, I'm trying to figure it out, because if it's not the software on my board that I have, it could be a loose cable somewhere. It could be a few things. So it might be a couple episodes of trying to figure that out, unless the firmware update worked. But just so again, apologies if the sound hasn't been up to snuff the last few episodes, and if it is still continuing here in this one. But I appreciate your patience on that. All right, so without any further delay, let's get into the latest news. All right, so since the last podcast, obviously the storm actually officially came through. Happy to report on my side of things, everything is good. The area that I live hasn't really seen a lot of damage or flooding. Anything that personally belongs to me is good. Everything is good here, and so I'm very thankful for that. Other folks are dealing with flooding, whether it is just outside their house. Some people I've seen on social media have flooding inside their house. Debris, depending on what part of town you're in. There's been debris that's been scattered about on roads and yards and all that. And some pretty significant damage in other parts of the state due to these small tornadoes, which I will get into here in a moment. But first, the latest for Charleston. Since the last podcast, a curfew was put in place specifically for the peninsula, and it was only supposed to last from Monday night into Tuesday morning. But Mayor William Cogswell then announced on Tuesday morning, after reassessing, that they are extending the city curfew through Wednesday, today, when you're listening to this, at 7 a.m. Now, the podcast usually comes out not too long after midnight. So depending on if you're up and when you listen, if it's after 7 a.m., obviously the curfew could be listed, but there's a chance that they'll just continue it, whether it's a few more hours, another day. It all really depends on the forecast and how bad flooding is downtown. But as of right now, the curfew is set to expire at 7 a.m. on Wednesday, but again, that could change. Now, the reason for this curfew should be clear. Downtown floods even sometimes when it doesn't rain. So obviously, when we have a tropical storm that's been coming through the area, very, sometimes different bands, are coming through, then the rain stops for a little bit or slows down and it picks up again. So we still have rain coming, and obviously high tide, each day is going to bring challenges as the storm continues. There have been moments where the water has been kind of receding just to come back because high tide starts or the rain picks up again. So that's the biggest reason. Many roads are closed anyway. So that curfew's in place. That means a lot of businesses are closed as well. I know some have decided to stay open. It's been a little unclear if they're like allowed to be open. I don't think the city can or has said no, you can't be open. So as long as the people who are working live downtown, I suppose businesses could be open for anybody else that's downtown, although the curfew is also supposed to be telling people to stay in their homes. It's been a little unclear. I think the biggest point, though, is just trying to prevent traffic from coming downtown. I did see on the Weather Channel and local news that they are writing tickets though for people who are out. So it is definitely not recommended. So specifically people driving is what I saw. I don't know about people walking. Obviously people have to do things like walk their dog, especially when if they're in an area where there's not a lot of flooding or the rain is let up. But I wouldn't chance it if you don't have to. Just based on what I've seen with them, like not having a problem writing tickets. But again, I think the main point was just trying to keep traffic from coming downtown because number one, it's dangerous. You don't want to be putting our first responders in danger, trying to rescue people if they're doing so in dangerous conditions. They also don't want a bunch of people downtown. Just like if they had it open and the bars would be open, people who are off work would be down there partying, and they've just decided to close it off. So we'll see if that continues when you hear this. But that was what was going on as of this recording. And part of that was as of Tuesday morning, there was already 8 inches of rain in Charleston. Obviously, um, by the time the curfew is being reevaluated at 7 a.m. on Wednesday, that's 24 hours. Obviously, we're going to be well over that 8 inch mark. So that's part of the reason. That the city was also extending this. They were expecting 6 more inches of rain from 7 a.m. over the next, 12 or so hours. So by 6 p.m. on Tuesday evening, they were expecting an additional 6 inches on top of the 8 that we've already gotten. In addition to that, there's supposed to be some rain coming back through. Wind gusts could reach up to 40 miles per hour, which isn't horrible, but could certainly lead to things being knocked down and whatnot. So, again, just trying to be safe. If you don't need to be out, don't. Now, Wednesday, like I said, things could be completely different. So, whatever the official announcements are at that point in time, just be sure to pay attention to those. And I would expect there to still be some concerns because severe flooding is still expected through Thursday. So it does not seem that we'll be out of the woods by any means. That doesn't mean some really horrible weather is going to happen, but still have to be careful. There's still that potential. The National Weather Association is just saying that continued rainfall on Tuesday could continue into Wednesday and even worsen through Thursday. So this could be several more days to go. So again, a lot can happen between me recording this and you listening. So just be sure to see what the official posts say at the time that you are listening. If you have specific questions, can't seem to find the answer somewhere else, there's a citizen service desk that'll be open 24 hours a day. Residents can call or email with any non-emergency questions or requests. Obviously, emergencies, depending on the type, go through other channels such as 911 if it's a true emergency. But non-emergency questions or requests can go to 843 724 7311. The email, if you prefer, is citizenservices@charleston-sc.gov. If you missed that, you can do a little rewind. If that's too much, the link in the show notes will bring you to the post that has that information. If you know anybody that is Spanish speaking and they need to speak with someone who speaks Spanish, the Charleston County number is 843 746 3909. There is another number, a toll-free hotline that the state has put out. That last one was for City of Charleston, Charleston County. This is for anybody anywhere in the state. Any questions you have about the tropical storm, you can call 1-866-246-0133. Again, that's 1-866-246-0133. They'll have that up if you have any questions or concerns. Again, those are for non-emergency things. Emergencies, you should follow, depending on what kind of emergency it is, follow that normal procedure. Any kind of power outages and things like that, you can contact your whoever your electricity provider is. For instance, a lot of times they have apps. So if you still have cell phone service, you can sometimes submit outage requests through that as well. Now, I mentioned tornadoes. It seems that there was likely a handful throughout the state, causing varying levels of damage. It doesn't seem like I said earlier, that any of them lasted a particularly long time or that they were that big. So we're not talking about, for those of you who saw the movie Twisters or maybe rewatched the mid to late 90s movie Twister, the the first one in that film franchise. We're not talking about things like the tornadoes like that, but still dangerous and still cause some damage as of recording. They're kind of saying likely, although it seems pretty sure that most of these were indeed tornadoes. But Edisto Island seemed to get hit first. That was late on Monday night. The Colleton County Sheriff's Office posted around 10 p.m. on Twitter that a tornado had indeed touched down. There was property damage, several down utility poles, so obviously they lost some power and things. But again, as far as injuries or worse, there was none reported that I've seen so far. That could change. So that's a good sign. Edisto seemed to be the one who got hit the worst. Perhaps maybe Monk's Corner did. They're still saying possible tornado, but whatever it was, it certainly caused a significant amount of damage. Monk's Corner says that if it was indeed a tornado, it touched down around 3 a.m. Tuesday morning. Live 5 has a meteorologist, Chris Holtzman, who said that Doppler radar picked up a possible debris field just before 3 a.m. And they said that was near the Walmart on Highway 52, which made sense when pictures came out today. The Walmart had some damage to the front of the store. There was an Arby's that you may have seen those pictures that was significantly damaged. So certainly seems like a tornado touchdown there. Regardless of what specifically it was, a good amount of damage happened. Some other places that may have gotten tornadoes were Kiowa Island and Isle of Palms. Thankfully, they didn't seem to cause as much damage as the Edisto or Monk's Corner ones did, but still had some debris knocked down and still caused a little bit of damage. So, like I said, although nothing huge, tornado wise, it did cause some damage in several towns, and it's still something where if you get a tornado warning or watch being worse, or excuse me, warning being worse, be sure to, heed those warnings and take proper precautions, get to a safe place and all those types of things, because even these, shorter, smaller tornadoes can cause a good amount of damage. If you didn't see those pictures, broken windows everywhere. Looks like chairs from the Arby's were blown outside. So certainly, you can see a good amount of damage even from a quote unquote weaker tornado. So that's the latest. These last two podcasts, I know they're all about the storm, but there obviously isn't much else going on, and this is the most important thing right now. Keep an eye on the news. Official channels, of course, are going to be your best bet for the most up to date and accurate news. Um, I know it can be a little frustrating and boring during these storms in general. Like right now, it's been very, very quiet over the last few hours when I'm recording this. If I didn't know any better, it would just feel like a normal day. I could walk outside and it would just look like it rained a little, just because I'm in an area that didn't get much damage. But despite that, we're still expecting more rain to come through, and more, wind gusts that could cause damage. So I know it's like, there's not a lot going on, and hasn't for the last few hours. Maybe I'm good. No, still very much have some things to worry about. Obviously, flash flooding still seems to be a very high concern. The potential for more tornadoes a little bit later here on Tuesday. So again, when you hear this, a lot of this could be out of date information and past, but we're still expecting some sort of effects from the storm through Wednesday, maybe into Thursday. So just keep an eye on all that. Stay safe out there. Don't let your guard down and think, everything's fine, because, there's still concerns that this is going to continue for a while. Again, flooding being the biggest concern, because even after the rain stops or slows down or the wind gusts are gone, there's still going to be a ton of water. And also, depending on the time of day, high tide and all that, it could be a real mess. So still a little ways to go. So stay safe and keep your eye on all local news. Also, if you have power and everything's good, in addition to whatever else you're doing, there's a couple Charleston-based um, projects that may be able to help you, kind of get out of a boredom rut. The first is that the Warrior Surf Foundation, a local nonprofit. I've interviewed someone from them, from that organization before, and Mex One Coastal Cantina had teamed up. Mex One was selling margaritas a certain percentage from the margaritas on their menu were donated to the Warrior Surf Foundation to help them bring veterans on a trip to Costa Rica where they could go do surf therapy and some other things. They made a short film about it, and it is short. It's like 15 minutes. They had a party for it recently, but you can actually now stream the whole thing for free on YouTube. There's a link on holycitycenter.com. You can also just search it for yourself, but you can watch that to kill a little bit of time. And also the Holy City Arts and Lyric Opera, which has been putting on performances throughout the area over the last couple years, specifically operas. They have one of their performances available to stream. That one is $5 through their Patreon account, but if you're looking for some local entertainment specifically, that's a great option. So just some things you can look into as you're trying to, maybe kill some time, assuming things are quiet where you are. All right. So, as I said, stay safe out there. Be careful. Thank you for listening. Thank you to Lindsay Marie Collins with LMC Soundsystem for producing this and every episode of Holy City Center Radio. And thank you to Tyler Boone, whose music you hear in each and every show. If you want to help out, please rate and review this podcast, subscribe, share it with friends, family, anyone you think who may be interested. You can also go to patreon.com/Holy City Center to sign up for one of those support tiers to help offset some costs with the website, podcast costs, and all that good stuff. Plan is to be back on Friday as normal, assuming we don't lose power or anything crazy happens. So hopefully we'll have that normal episode, and fingers crossed, maybe we'll have some fun non-weather related stories to talk about. Stay safe, have fun in your homes. Try not to go outside if you can't, and just pay attention to local alerts and all that good stuff. Until Friday, good night and good luck.